Now the moment we've all been waiting for.
I am Nate Riggle, and you are listening to The Way of the Bonfire. Hey, look at this. This guy didn't give up. It's been a couple of months. I realize that. Look, there are some times when you just got to take time to focus on one thing more than anything else. I just got back into the insurance arena. I know, so exciting. But yeah, that's been taking up a lot of my time. Like I said, this is a forever project. I still have this podcast as something that I'm never going to stop doing. Now that I'm starting to get fully entrenched in this new world and this new endeavor to be part of my livelihood, I'm going to be picking the frequency back up. And I still have my other projects of building community and connecting people in more meaningful ways and finding the best ways to make the most of this life for myself and others. And so none of that's gone. Maybe I set a record and how long you could take a break from doing podcasting and still continue on. So just winning in new ways every day. Anyway, as I was studying to get licensed and entrenched in all the ins and outs of risk calculations and how insurance works, I started really thinking deeply about the nature of risk. Yes, that's nerdy, I know. But is it? Think about it. Extreme athletes who do incredible things, they're actually not risk junkies or like gluttons for failing. They have an incredible understanding of risk because they test and cross its limits every day. I would argue that the wildest and the ballsiest people on the planet know risk more intimately than anyone. They know where the line is at a cellular or molecular level. They become experts at not crossing it. It's magnificent to see what these elite risk managers can do. And what I'm getting at here is that risk is not the enemy. It's our ignorance in understanding and relating to risk that is. There's more risk in everything than we can possibly quantify. People just get really, really good at presenting and positioning and conditioning others to their risks in a way that suits their plan and their personal desires, whether that's equally and mutually beneficial to everyone involved or not. So we get a little paranoid. Sometimes it is beneficial to everyone, and sometimes it isn't. But that's why we have to become masters at understanding risk. It's not just for accountants and risk managers and actuaries locked away in, windowless rooms crunching numbers. It's a fundamental skill for every human to develop, or they will wish they did. We can't allow ourselves to be bad at the what-if game. Because it's such a powerful double-edged sword that we have got to grasp the handle of ourselves and stop letting others just kind of be the masters of it. Or it'll master us. It'll cause unnecessary and fully preventable damage. I know that there's discomfort and things aren't going to go right and mistakes. It's all part of it, right? But sometimes stupid is stupid does. So why is if so powerful? Because it represents possible future realities based on a combination of circumstances and our choices. It's the root of fear, and it's the root of possibility. It's the root of preparedness and the root of paralysis. And the only thing that does the difference there is it's us. It's the choices we make and our own willingness to say, I'm not going to be ignorant about this anymore. It's equally capable of planting seeds of doubt and seeds of belief. It's a big part of how we guide our curiosity instead of having it used against us. And yes, your curiosity is used against you all the time. Marketers are incredible at it. It can keep an impenetrable wall in front of us. The word if, what if? That freezes us worse than any physical barrier. Worse than a barbed wire fence with armed guards at a maximum security prison. And it's only in our minds. And if we don't wake up and decide to be more aware and intentional about it ourselves, then we will get harvested. Even while we think we're doing the harvesting. Picture that for a second. Someone thinking that they won, the lottery, or they just have all this leverage and everything's working in their favor, not realizing that the only downside is losing everything that they ever wanted. Imagine someone telling you where a buried treasure is, and you going to dig it up. It means that, they'll let you keep it, but they get to keep at least a part of you. That's what being ignorant to all the different facets of risk is. Economists, they always say, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. They always talk about the opportunity cost. There's a trade-off in everything, and that is the risk. But you have to learn how to assume what that risk is. For example, abundance is full of more risks than lack. I found out the hard way. If you're not hyper vigilant and intentional in anticipating the problems that come with the abundance, that come with new good things, and either being ready for them or accepting them. A lot of people just think, okay, once we get to this point, then I can kind of forget about downsides and that kind of thing. And what I'm trying to say is risk is your friend as long as you don't make it your enemy, or you don't allow it to be your enemy. Because what does low risk even mean? I'm going to ask so many annoying questions on this one. So if you want thought provoking, then keep listening. If you're like, this is over the top, then I don't blame you if you hang up, but the good stuff's coming. Because being able to have a healthy ability to anticipate good things and bad things is important. This is something that I've kind of struggled with. Like, why are we being so negative? Like, why don't we just focus on the positive? What does Tony Robbins say? Don't look at the wall that you're trying to avoid or you're going to run into the wall. But you still have an awareness of the wall, I guess, is the part of that we don't acknowledge. You know the wall's there. You just don't look at it, right? But you have to cultivate that awareness. Because in certain situations, like, ignorance is bliss until it freaking isn't. In certain situations, playing it safe, quote unquote, or accepting that how things are is okay. That's what I'm doing, I could potentially be doing the worst possible thing for myself and anyone that counts on me. And choosing predictability and quote unquote low risk might not be the best thing if I don't simultaneously learn to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Like, I could have the healthiest heart on the planet and just be sitting there bragging about it, but there's more parts of my body. Like, there's other vital signs and things that matter. Because if I don't care about my brain health and my nervous system, then my heart will eventually be the unhealthiest heart. And one of the biggest landmines is having a one-dimensional understanding of risk. And I'll explain what I mean by that. The point is that picking the downside that we know is best for us and not lying to ourselves about what that is crucial. Otherwise, somebody else is just going to pick it for us or tell us what that is. So we kind of got to build our spidey sense for risk. It's choosing our heart and learning to be okay with the outcome, whatever that is. Let me share a few examples of the power of if in practice and in history and in literature. And I'm starting with one of the best ones of them all. This is from the Bible. It says, if thou be the Son of God. This is Satan, the great tempter, trying to mess with Jesus when he's in the wilderness. He says, if thou be the Son of God, command these stones may be made bread. And Jesus knew risk really well. He knew how to play the if game because he understood the mechanics of things. So he quotes Deuteronomy 8:3 and says, man shall not live by bread alone. Like, he didn't just say, oh, okay, those are the conditions. Yeah, I can prove that to you. But he realized that this was more of a misdirection than it was somebody trying to help him. He's trying to play on pride and make it easy for Jesus to prove things. But Jesus, he just didn't play the game the way that the devil was playing it. And another one right after that, it says, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. What was the play here? That was the devil probably just saying, like, well, hey, look, nobody will ever doubt, like, this will be magnificent to see you just floating down off this rock. Like, nobody will be able to question you anymore. But there was a snake in the grass, right? That he had ulterior motives. So Jesus quotes Deuteronomy 6:16. It says, tempt not the Lord thy God. Because he knew that once he's finished with his fast, like, he can go and do things on his terms, not on somebody else's hypothetical scenario that they're throwing out there. And so then the devil starts to panic, and he goes and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. So he's just getting desperate, right? And Jesus says, get thee hence, Satan, for it's written that thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So he's saying, look, I see this little if-then game that you're playing here, but I don't have to accept your consequences on your terms. And we shouldn't accept the if consequences on someone else's terms that doesn't have our best interest at heart, or that promises something that is not theirs to give. So what happened when Jesus chose a greater if? When he was done fasting, it says in verse 11, the devil leaveth him. And behold, angels came and ministered unto him. So he still had the angels come And he didn't have to do it on the other person's terms, right? He didn't have to do it on this little weasel with all kinds of screwed up motives trying to use that if, the power of if against him. That's what the devil used, was if, against this great being, the greatest, in my opinion, that's ever lived, and in my belief, right? I just think it's a good story, whether you want to accept that or not. A good example. He didn't need to prove anything based on this redirect from the enemy. And so what I'm getting at is that it can be, sometimes if is a conditional statement, like it's instructive, like it's all about consequences. Sometimes it's a crafty misdirection. Sometimes it's a manipulation, and it's not just the devil. It's just, it's everywhere. Sometimes people don't even realize that they're using if to manipulate others because they've just been trained to do that. Sometimes it's what gives us unnecessary worry and rumination and doubt and fear. That's what gives it those things its power. Sometimes on the other side of it, though, it's a door to your dreams. So mastering if is about becoming a wise experimenter who knows that all action and inaction has consequences. It's about cultivating awareness. Like in that example, Jesus, he knew those scriptures. He knew what the real backstory is. And that doesn't mean we have to become experts in everything. In fact, it's about simultaneously trying to cultivate more awareness, but also accepting that you can't know everything and you certainly can't predict everything. This podcast, it celebrates the power of curiosity. I think in one of my first episodes, I talked about how a lot of people just kind of take a dump on curiosity. They're like, curiosity killed the cat. Don't venture out. Don't stick your nose where it shouldn't be. And that's true. But if is at the center of that curiosity. And when we get better at how we respect, understand, use, and respond to and wield the power of if, we now have guided and intentional curiosity. Not the blind and reckless kind that leads to problems that we didn't need. And that's the whole point. There's nuance in things, right? Curiosity isn't necessarily bad or good. It's just powerful. And mastery of if is part of making the most of anything and having as many options as possible to have a plan when and if things go sideways, which they will. So now I'm going to drive you insane with some questions just to illustrate the power of what if and the way that we use if and the way that we ponder the questions of if. And then we'll kind of bring it back around here. So your first one is, what if it kills you? That's going to make you potentially not want to do something. What if it's the only thing standing between you and everything you were ever meant for? What are you going to do if it doesn't work? So kind of a lot of doubt assumed in that question. What if your expectations are wrong? What if you live to be 120? What if you don't live past tomorrow? What if the very thing you think you need is the very thing you need to get rid of? What if the very act of questioning it causes you to focus only on what could go wrong and magnifies the doubt and maybe is the only cause of the outcome that you were most worried about? That one's a kind of complicated one. Like, that's a question that makes you think, like, maybe just ignorance is bliss. And I think it's good to at least be aware of that possibility. But what if obsessing over the possibilities leads me to insisting on making the perfect choice? And that leads me to taking too long to act or not acting at all, where it's like, oh, I'm still waiting for the perfect thing to come along, waiting for the perfect conditions, waiting for the perfect day. I've tried a lot of things and they just keep getting, everything I've looked at keeps getting better. So what if there's something better? So you don't ever lean into anything or commit to anything. It's good to know that that's a landmine or a trap that we can fall into. What if this is a scam? Oh, I love that one. The problem is there are scams, a lot of them. And people use if to scam people all the time. But sometimes skepticism could be what's keeping you from recognizing the greatest opportunity, but it's just hidden in plain sight because we're too skeptical. We don't want to believe anything. We don't want to trust anything. Here's a big one. What if I get rejected? What if everyone who's trying to tell me not to do this thing that feels right is proven right because it doesn't work out? That sounds like a freaking nightmare. Lived through that one multiple times. What if the last 5,000 times it didn't work were what you needed to lead you to this very moment where it will work spectacularly? What if you're 3 feet from gold and those other ones are just what you had to go through to get to here? What if making decisions and trusting things that will work out is better, or trusting that things will work out is better than weighing out all the options endlessly? What if asking all these questions is a waste of time? And you could have just been out proving the hypothetical through actually testing it in real life. What if testing it isn't enough? What if those reviews and all that research and all that ChatGPT and AI stuff that you feel like is giving you all the answers are not telling the whole story? What if it's impossible for them to tell the whole story? This is for all the DIYers out there, like thinking they can just figure it out by doing research. What if committing to it and sticking to it is the only way of knowing? What if it really is just my fault? What if it's nobody's fault? What if life is just about trying things and learning from others' wisdom who already tried them? What if saying what if is distracting me from what I should just stay focused on? This is where we're starting to feel a little bit insane because I flip-flopped all over the dang place. What if there is a way to avoid the endless questions and still feel confident about moving forward? That one I'm interested in because I've had all these questions. This is what it's like inside of my brain. What if there's a way to avoid the endless questions and still feel confident about moving forward? I'm not discounting the power of asking the questions. But at some point, we got to do something and we got to stick to something. So here are 5 things I have learned that help me play this if game better so that I can feel confident about moving forward, even though I'll never have all the answers to all the what if questions. Number 1, commit to live by certain principles that you've judged to be good ones, useful and meaningful and true, that allow you to decide ahead of time, regardless of the circumstances and surprises that are inevitable. It's like, what would I do? Not just in certain situations, but what are the principles that I believe in that they're going to be more helpful than they are destructive? And those might just be love one another. Those might be something like just be grateful, whatever happens. Those are good principles. And if I commit right now to think that and really like embody that, then regardless of whatever comes my way, I'm going to be already programmed to respond to it better. And yeah, you got to add and adjust these as you learn wisdom from experience. The big one that's really helpful for me is I take note of what happens when I don't follow my guiding principles and commitments that I made. Usually something less than favorable happens. And the consequences are not great because it's principles that I'm following, not a specific decision or path. It's me saying, here's how I live. Here's how I'm going to live. Here's what I'm going to do regardless of what happens. So that was number 1. Commit to live by certain principles that allow you to decide ahead of time. Number 2, have a plan and work your plan, but expect things to not go as planned. Things aren't going to always go as planned, but like you at least have to have a plan. It doesn't have to be a perfect blueprint. Everybody's out there clamoring to say they got a better blueprint or framework or whatever thing. It's the next best one. Like, they've leveled it up. But here's a spoiler. Even the best one, whatever that could possibly be, things are just not going to go as planned. You can't predict everything. And so expecting things to not go as planned, something that goes along with that is we just need to have this principle that we live by of like, when that happens, minimize the damage and maximize opportunity when they do. Because sometimes when things don't go as planned, or as Bob Ross calls them, happy little accidents, sometimes those aren't bad. It's like, holy cow, we got detoured and we're not going to be there on time, but it caused us to end up in this place where we met these amazing people who changed our life. Or we had this crazy experience that we never would have been able to plan. It just happened. So minimize the damage and maximize opportunity when things don't go as planned. And the other side of that, I would say, just don't point fingers, because when things go sideways, everybody wants to say, here's why it went wrong. Who cares why it went wrong? It's already gone wrong. So don't point fingers unless they're focused on gratitude and encouragement and what to change moving forward. Number 3, practice making decisions quickly if it feels right. And some people are going to be just shaking their heads like, oh, here we go with the feelings again. But what allows us to make decisions quickly? That I believe that's a big part of why we even have feelings, is to help guide us in our decision making. We just use them wrong. So practice making decisions quickly, and I suck at this. But the point isn't that I suck at it, it's that I suck less every day. I'm cultivating that ability to decide and say, you know what? This feels right. And sometimes you're going to be like baffled about why you felt that way. But don't look back near as often as you look forward. It's okay to look back and be like, what happened there? Why did I feel that way? But if that's the only thing you're doing, you're going to be missing what's right in front of you. You're going to be steering the ship in the wrong direction. All right, number 4, this is going to sound like a plug because it kind of is, but I really believe this, is have a good insurance policy. Insurance, oh my gosh, insurance is for people who are out living, not the people who stay inside scared of what might happen. Don't get me wrong, people who are inside, like, living this life of fear and, like, all of the possibilities, they love insurance because it's like this soothing sense of security, right? Like, oh, well, at least if everything goes wrong, I'll still be able to get some things back. But I really believe that insurance is for risk takers. Even though it's dialed in to avoid and manage risk, I believe it's for risk takers because you can go out and do things, and it's that kind of safety net that says, you know what? If things don't go as planned, and I don't expect them to, we already got some things in motion here. It'll be taken care of. It allows you to not be scared. Everyone says that insurance is about selling fear. I think it's about selling clarity, saying, what are we going to do when things go wrong? Because they will. Number 5, don't try to do everything yourself. Look for the good and build trust with people you can trust. Remember, this is all about how can we play this if game better and not have to know all the answers to what if. And that's why all these things are helpful, because it helps us move away from just obsessing over all the what ifs. Like, paranoid and ruminating and like, I'm terrified that this is going to happen. You don't have to be terrified because we have these principles. And when you try to do everything yourself, things have a way of not working out when stuff goes wrong. If you're looking for the good and you're building trust with people that you can trust, things have a way of working out when you build connection and loyalty. And this thing I've tested. And this is a big thank you, love letter to all the people who've helped me on all the different times that things have gone wrong. Like, I trusted them. I've always been trying to be good to them, and they come through, right? They show up when there's not an insurance policy to pay for it. When there's not, my plan didn't go as planned. And I'm not relying on them, but I'm grateful that they kind of help fill in the gaps, and things do have a way of working out because I'm not in this by myself. They say no one's coming to save you. I say throw that freaking thing out the window. That's the dumbest idea in the whole wide world. No one's coming to save you. Get stuffed. Be grateful for all the people who have saved you, who have set you up in ways that, like, look, yeah, you've had a harder path than people, but that doesn't mean that nobody had a hand in making it better. You're not freaking self-made. Stop it. Understand that you are amazing, and so are all the people that have helped make you amazing. And keep building that loyalty and gratitude and thanking them, and it just fills in the cracks, I promise. Remember to get better at playing that what if game. Don't be ignorant. Don't be scared. And go get them.